So to illustrate my point then, I managed to meet two very interesting people. One is Sachin Ramdev, who's a veterinary science student studying in Pretoria, and he has this great, intense love for Gqom. In fact, he was the one who taught me how to pronounce it correctly. And so, of course, Gqom is a very, it's a traditionally type of music that is synonymous with the black community of South Africa. And here you have a young Indian origin boy and now in love with Gqom, and so much so that he himself has spent a great deal of time creating Gqom music. And we spoke to Sachin Ramdev about why he feels this kind of music defines him as a South African.
Basically, I've always been fascinated with house and home. That's the proper pronunciation, is home. Pronounce it properly. And yeah, it's basically the beats. I don't know what it is about beats, but that's what attracted me to those genres in particular.
So when you say beats, like specifically, like how did you get into appreciating this type of music?
Well, my dad did work in Amzinto, so in the weekends I used to go to his practice and stuff. I think my appreciation of the music came from being surrounded by different cultures, which is why.
How do you access it?
Yeah, mainly in school. I had a lot of different friends from different cultures, so that's where I got my exposure.
So talk to me about how you appreciate the music then. You just have it on your playlist, or you constantly playing it? Like, how do you...
Okay, well, in Pretoria, I obviously drive there. So, in the car, when I'm coming back from campus, from vet campus, it just calms me down for some reason. Some people think it's like really hectic, but yeah.
Do you understand the language?
No, but I'm trying to learn Sepedi and Zulu, so yeah.
And you've taken it further though, because you've created a piece of music, your own work.
Yeah. Woza Chomi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Woza Chomi was created by my friend and I after one of my tests from campus. So I drove there and then I said, hey, let's just create another track. Because we do have another one. It's called Ngazo Mbedela. So that was the original one, but it wasn't very polished like Woza Chomi. So yeah, then we just created the beat. It took us about 5 hours.
Yeah.
So that's how long it took. And then he is Sepedi, so he told me about the obviously the language and stuff. And then it was just a vibe after that.
Why did you want to create... I mean, you loved it so much, you wanted to recreate it.
Exactly. Because I listened to it so much, I'm like, let me just take a shot at it myself and see what I can do and what I can accomplish.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the people actually like the song, and I want to release it on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
Because the Indian community needs to know that, like, cultures need to be meshing together.
Yeah. I think it is, though. I mean, it's common to hear... a track like Guguletu now blaring in the car of an Indian origin person. Omunia was, I saw so many white people in car parks just driving to Omunia. And 25 years later, you don't double take when you see it, because it's almost like a uniquely South African thing. Explain that concept to me.
In South Africa, it's very different from overseas. Here we have a lot of race groups. So I think as South Africans are becoming more appreciative of each other's cultures and things, and we're taking to each other's cultures. So, obviously, naturally, we'll be enjoying their culture more, and the music more, and the food more. Because I don't know, African people also enjoy Indian food as well. So, I think the cultures are just getting together and doing their things.
Yeah. What hope then does it give you 25 years like into democracy? Of course, there's a lot of work still needs to be done. I think often, and a great narrative that we've explored here, specifically on the talk show in the past couple of years, has been, am I Indian? Am I South African? And then we're told do both simultaneously.
Yes.
So that's largely been the heritage narrative we've had. 25 years later, it seems as if South Africans are finding the fit, because now you can have a Sunday rugby match with biryani on the menu, playing Gqom, and that will be considered a absolutely normal South African thing.
Yes. I think in the next 25 years, South Africa will be really great. At the moment, it's at its peak in terms of music, and music always brings people together. I've noticed that, especially. So I think South Africa is doing very great in that. But obviously, as you said about the tension, it's going to exist there. But hopefully in the 25 years, it'll be over. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, do you listen to Indian music? Do you?
Oh no, yes, I love that. If you see my playlist, it has home, house, Hindi, and English, yeah. But yeah, I listen to a lot of music. But my main in my car, because I have a bass in the sub. So I think you have to listen to house and home with the sub. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So yeah, that's where it comes through.
Advice then, to young people, to South Africans, to realize that there's no such thing as that's what Indians do, this is what whites do, this is what blacks do, that they can exist, and it's actually growing to create a completely unique South African identity.
My advice would be to all South Africans to be more open-minded and embrace different cultures, because that's the only way that things are going to happen in this country, especially.
Well, what ownership do you take of it? Because, it's like one could go as far as saying, but this is not the music synonymous with your culture or your race. But you're saying, wait a second, I'm a South African. If this is South African, it is mine. So how are you taking ownership of it?
Oh, I love to prove people wrong. If people want to put me into a box and say, Indian people should listen to Indian music, I'm going to do the opposite of that, because I've always been like that. So I think, Indian people just need to be aware that cultures are merging. That's all I can say.
Session Ramdev there, a veterinary science student there, with his love for Qom, and really talking about how this is representing a new wave in South African culture and integration. But he mentioned something there, that he created a track called Woza Chomi. And I think it would be an injustice not for us to get a taste of what that sounds like, right? Obviously, it's not a professionally released track yet. It's just his passion for the music, which he created, his love for the music, his love for this culture, and he just created it. So it's not even a commercial track, which in itself makes it really more fascinating, because this is a person's love for something that they would actually want to produce something, without even commercial or material gains. So let's take a listen to Woza Chomi, and this is by Session Ramdev.
This is the biggest track of 2019, and your one and only session.
Woza Chomi, Woza Chomi, Woza Chomi, Woza Chomi. Every time I leave a room, Gitty Woza. I want to Woza, Gitty Woza.
Nifuna kuza, isikhathi sesifikile, sihamba manje, siye edebeni.
Yes, that's it. That's the track there by Session Ramdev, a track that he created to celebrate his love for Qom. So yes, that was the interesting aspect.